Fantasy managers, welcome to the FPL Addicts Gameweek 11 preview podcast. Hello and welcome everybody to the FPL Addicts Gameweek 11 podcast with me, Reedy. If you're new around here, give ourselves or our channel, I suppose, a like and hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. That'd be great. But without further ado, I don't want to kind of chat on too much because I've got a couple of guests with me today. Special guest in one half of the Double Pivot podcast in Shane, aka FPL Veteran. And also another sort of staple of the FPL Twitter sphere and, avid Newcastle fan, Dinesh, aka FPL TT. Good to have you on, boys. How are we doing? I'll go to you first, Shane, because I probably speak to TT, a lot, to be fair. Probably too much, don't we, TT? But yeah, how are we getting on, Shane? How are we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks very much for inviting us on. Pleasure to come on. It was quite an intro, mate. I was into that, into the music. It's rolling back the years, like the clubby tech scene. Thanks very much for inviting me on, mate. And it's going good. Yeah, Friday, it's all right. We're building up to the game week. Excited for the game week, and that's where all my joy in that is at the start on a Friday, and then by Saturday about 1 o'clock that's gone. So this is the best bit of the week for me, mate. But no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, so everything all good, sort of, life-wise, and then also...
I've been a bit ill this week, actually, so go easy on my game week team. But I'm all right now. I'm all right, not too bad. I don't often get ill, but no, we're good. Me and Kieran done our podcast as well, so thanks very much for putting that in. And yeah, it's good. It's good, excited. Just a normal work-life FPL balance. Normally, it's more FPL than work and life, but where does that fit? We don't know.
That's it, isn't it? I imagine. I mean, obviously, we're not lucky enough to do FPL as a full-time thing, but it is what it is. TT, how are you? How are you doing, bud? How's life with you, and how's FPL?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm also a bit ill, but looking at my overall rank, so I think that's a different kind of illness. But I'm all good, mate. I'm all good otherwise.
I think at some stage this year, I think everyone's kind of been ill, and maybe it's even hung around for a bit too long. I know that we've had our COVID years. I think everyone gets ill now or gets the flu. No one's kind of bothered anymore. You kind of just ride it out and get on with it, don't you? You know what I mean? Like you just, it is what it is. But I'm glad you boys are doing well. Let's suppose get into it. I mean, in terms of FPL, I suppose we've got game week 11 and then we've got an international break. How do you boys kind of feel about the international break coming up, or international breaks in general? Do you enjoy them, Shane, or do you enjoy the break and that time away?
Or... Quite low. I mean, I suppose it's a good intermediate, isn't it, in the FPL? It could sometimes get a bit too much on top of you, so it's good that we have the break, but quite often I'll play like the Champ League fantasy, so I'm not really getting a break. But I enjoy international, actually. I really enjoy it. I love watching most of the games as well. So I do prefer the break. And it's good to just reassimilate, kind of like basically get the boring stuff like life and work out of the way if we have to. And then back into it. So I enjoy watching it, mate. I like it.
Yeah, good stuff. I've got a feeling I know your answer, TT, but then maybe things have changed. The outlook being a little bit sort of away from FPL as such, and not as sort of invested lately. Do you like the international break, or is it?
Yeah. I think you think really I hate the international break, but I actually really enjoy it now. I think now I'm trying to invest less time in the game. Obviously, I'm still super invested in the sense that I'm still engaged in the community and just keeping up to date. But I'm just trying to invest less time in how much I'm concentrating in terms of mentally and things like that into the game, and just kind of focus more on personal life and all that sort of stuff. So I always find the international breaks like a welcome step away from that. But I always find after the first week, you're like, okay, it'll be nice to kind of get the game week going again, isn't it? I think we get jitters, don't we? Really, like second week
That's
of the
it.
international.
I'm kind of half and half. Like,
half and half. I'm with you.
I like the 1 week, but I feel like a week's enough. I always feel like I get 1 week. Like, all right, I've had a week now. That was nice. And then you kind of wait for that second week, and you're waiting for like players to come back, or there's all these these South American games. Always such and such going to make it back because he's been on a late flight. I know we've had João Pedro. People tracking stuff and all sorts.
People track, I can't. I mean, listen, if you ain't got much stuff going on, I get it, and it's, he's either coming back or he's not. You know what I mean? I can't.
Twitter goes into a weird place in the international break. God knows, discussing all sorts of nonsense.
Talking heights of players like Saka and that, or is he getting headed? Just use the info you've got, and then just stand by the decision because you can't get it right all the time. I always say like FPL is like a jigsaw, a jigsaw that you've never got all the pieces for. You'll never have the best information to make your decision, but you can only make a decision at the time. And that's what I do. And I just, like you're saying, just a good headspace and try not to put more mental thought 100%. Into it. I just make my decision and go with it. And that's what will be.
Yeah. Happy days. Good stuff. Well, in terms of the FPL Addicts Public Mini League, we've got, some people obviously who are doing really, really well in FPL this season. So we've got Seamus Gray at the top of the FPL Addicts Public League. Dalipool FC, 42 points last game week, sitting at 20k. Not too bad, I guess. And, he's in that sort of dibbling realm at the moment, getting Haaland in. He's got Salah as well. But not a bad position to be in. And then in second, we've got Matthew Sesto. And I was looking at the name, and it says Sesto Molesto.
Wow.
Yeah, 81 is flying. Absolutely flying that for a game week. He obviously went big and bold and captained Dominic Solanke.
Fair one.
So, I didn't see much of that knocking about on Twitter and stuff. So, fair play, massive game week on 81 points. And then down in third, I never try and say this guy's name because I know I'm definitely going to get it wrong. Just go
especially with your accent, really.
Let's just go with Bammy, shall we? But he played his free hit last game week. 50 points. Would you be expecting a bit more off a free hit, I guess?
In this game week, it's probably quite a good 50, though, isn't it, I suppose?
It's not bad, but surely, who did Slime?
Yeah, you might have hoped for a bit more, isn't it?
Yeah, they had Villa, so I guess if you free hitting, a lot of people would say maybe it wasn't the right time to free hit, but yeah, sat in third. He's 40k, which is better than me.
Can't complain.
It's better than you boys, but yeah. And into the FPL Addicts Podcast League, we've got Elliot sat at the top. I won't go into the teams. 34 points. Myself with 41. Charlie with 54. Ollie 37. Pretty low, I would say, overall, really. The highest being 54. And then Jack with 38. In terms of our game weeks, lads. So we'll start with my team and then I'll have a look at yours, Shane. 41 points for me. I didn't take a hit this week. So I think I went 2 back-to-back hits, -4s. I was trying to stay strong, but it just gets the better of me. I just, I get carried away and I'm like, ah. So, yeah, Semenyo benching of 10 points wasn't great. I went with head over kind of, I was thinking, Semenyo plays City. I know City have been bad defensively this year, right? But then I thought, Buonanotte plays Ipswich. Surely that's the better pick as such. But it didn't turn out that way. Martinez got me 0 points because he got absolutely spanked by Spurs and Solanke. And then, it was, kind of get my captain right, which I did. So, it would have been terrible if I hadn't picked Salah and had gone with Haaland. It would have been a lot worse, I guess. So, yeah, not the best game week, boys, but that's how we fare for that game week. So, I'll go on to Shane's team. I'll just bring it up. There we go.
Quite close, actually. Quite similar in points, and as long as, again, as when you're playing it, you look for the average, and you want to be as high above the average you can. But as long as you're getting roughly about that, or a little bit over, it's never that bad a game week. But when you get 2 points per person before you start, sometimes I look at them like, oh god,
it's 3 forwards, all 2 points each, and you just go in. What's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, I got Raya. He got a save point, and that's the highlight of my back line and my defensive line. To be honest, Michael Keane was a bit let down because he's banged a few goals in and he's played really well. They got beat by Southampton, which I didn't see coming. Trent's not doing much just now, but I think he will. I've been saying that for 10 weeks, maybe 11th of charm, I think is the is the phrase. Right. Lewis, City can't keep a clean sheet. Konsa, I'm the same as you. Villa, they just leak goals all the time, and it's a bit frustrating. Midfield's always been good for me, but it's pretty much the same as you, really. Salah FC. I don't have Haaland to captain them, so all blanks from really Mbuemo, Palmer, Buenanote. I'm the same as you. I think he's a class player and he's involved a lot, so he'll come good. And then Cunha up top, which he could have had another one, but he played well. I was the same as you. You know, I took Semenyo out this week, actually. Which is not ideal.
I think I'd have preferred to have took him out than see his 10 points on the bench. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, I had Evan Nielsen on there, and he's been class for me the last 2 or 3. I'm thinking now, why did I play 4 at the back? I should just take it out, Konsa or something like that. Because you always want to play more attackers.
Go with the attacker, yeah.
I mean, at some stage, 2 game weeks ago, I was thinking to myself, for that City game, I was like, I'll just play it nonchalantly. And do you know what? I'll just play both of them and see if one gets a return. And I should have followed through. It could have been huge, but would have, should have, could have. But not an average week, mate. Not too bad.
Yeah. 40 points, as you said, similar to myself. I guess it's kind of on to the next one. When you get a low score in a game, where you kind of just go in, right, how can I do better next week? I look forward to the fixtures and try and plan, obviously. And yeah, that's all you can really do. But I'll bring up your game week score as well, TT, just so we can have a look. I know, looking at this, Shane, he's done better than us this game week, that's for sure.
You saved the best for last, mate, and that was no surprise to me. I knew.
Oh, done better, he probably wouldn't say he smashed it, but he's done better than us this week. 50 points for TT, 2 transfers made, mate. How do you feel about game week 10?
Yeah, it was a good week for a green arrow. I think obviously the frustration was the Rodgers benching, because I actually had Rodgers in, and then I switched it to Havertz at the deadline. I don't know why. I kind of just thought, don't go with your head. My heart, actually, because obviously Havertz was playing Newcastle, so I thought there's probably more of a chance for Havertz to do something in that game, and I should have just kind of backed myself with the Rodgers shout. But otherwise, it was a pretty solid week. I brought in Salah last week for Haaland, so that actually worked out quite well. Brought in Cunha as well as part of that switch. But yeah, other than that, nothing too crazy. I think it was the Brennan Johnson goal that probably was really the difference, I think, between us. So yeah.
You were unlucky, TT, that your keeper. So unlucky, Flecken, man. He was on for a monster
Flecken, that was an absolute roller coaster. That was. I sat there thinking, wow, might actually get a clean sheet here, and he was on for a pretty good haul. I think he was on for a 12-pointer. And
and you have deserved that to stick through him. Stick by him. It was
it's
unlucky, man.
It's just one of those. Unfortunately, it just dwindled so quickly from 12 to 4. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'll take the green arrow this week. I think a decent week considering all things. So.
Definitely. Do you think that, I just want to ask you something, I guess. I mean, I know you were saying about maybe taking Havertz out. You were close to doing that and playing Rodgers and so on. But there's that bias there of we don't want players to kind of do well against our own teams from a football fan point of view. But then in FPL kind of like... it's difficult because you're then faced with that decision of, they're playing my team. I don't want them to do well in real life. So really, I don't want them in my FPL team. So it's difficult. But then contributing to that, do you think it's the fact that Newcastle haven't been great previous to I think it was Arsenal, and then did you beat someone else as well? Oh, no, you got beat by Chelsea 2-1, I guess. But you've looked better lately, I would say. I think in the Cup, you beat Chelsea 2-1, and then obviously you were decent. And I think that maybe that was almost like a smokescreen of you kind of going, okay, well, I kind of expect Havertz to maybe get something. Or was it just like, do you know what?
Yeah. Like, I'm so guilty of heart over head when it comes to like my own team with FPL. Like I really try and avoid players who play against Newcastle. Like it's such a bad mindset with the game, but I just really struggled to separate that. So I guess going into that game, what changed my mind in terms of playing Havertz, I just thought Arsenal would kind of do better and end up probably beating us in that game. So while I always back us at home, I kind of just expected Arsenal to have played a bit better, to be honest. That was it, really. I just thought there was more of a chance of Havertz doing something, so that was it. I thought I would try and steer away from playing with my heart and play with my head a little bit more, and actually that didn't work out for me in the end. So maybe I'll go back to that.
And is it in terms of the defenders that you played? Was it that sort of thought process with, okay, these are the best defenders with the best fixtures, or did you bench Gabriel because you thought?
No, I did bench Gabriel more because he was playing Newcastle, but he was an injury out anyway, so that kind of just gave me the excuse to bench him.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
You thinking about getting Isaac in at all?
Yeah, like me and Rudy, we were talking about it this morning. Like, I think Isak is a great pick.
He's a bit of. I'll have a look now. I don't know what percentage he's on, but he's probably a bit of a differential because he's been. He's
very. I think he's a very, very good differential right now.
Well, this is something I'm going to cover shortly.
15. Oh, okay.
I say cover. No, it's a great question. I mean, as we were talking about Newcastle attack just then, and obviously they've beat Chelsea, they've beat Arsenal. Isak is back. He's not got his Austin Powers injury with his eye or whatever, and he's not kicked the door this weekend, so his toes better. So it's a good point. But in terms of strikers, I am going to come on to that soon, Shane. So it's definitely something we'll talk about. But one thing I wanted to kind of look at was this week's fixtures. I know that on your podcast, Shane, that you do a prediction thing, don't you? Kind of what are the scores be? That
it helps. I think it helps because again, if you never listen to the pod, we talk about team matchups and how that translates into FPL picks. So if, for instance, Ipswich are weak down the left hand side with Leif Davis, who's playing on the right hand side for that person that week, then we maybe look to bring him in. But the predictions is good as well because, like you're saying, you think, say you don't have Bruno. I don't want him to do well, but he's playing against a team that are doing terrible. I don't know, Wolves or something. Yeah. It's good, mate. It's good, and it's that rivalry between me and Kieran. What I want to do is Kieran will probably be listening or listening back, but Shane's taking the lead quite a lot. I've got quite a lot of good scores, like actual predictions right as well.
Yeah.
Although this is the first week that Kieran's actually beat me, so I'm saying this in the week that he's actually beat me.
Just got to. Yeah. Sometimes you got to be quietly confident, and you don't want to kind of gloat a bit too much, because sometimes I guess when you don't and someone is gloating, they get that humble pie. You know what I mean? So
humility, isn't it? I think that's one thing that you have to have. Like if you make a right move, this whole Haaland Salah thing, it's just a bit of humility because we're always right and wrong. It just depends how often.
I think especially in this season as well, like it's so swingy. Like 1 week, your team could look great, and then all of a sudden, there's so many options this season that all of a sudden, like it could very quickly change. So, it feels like you're never comfortable.
Sorry, TT. Yeah, that's true.
Go on, really, yeah.
I was just going to say, I think in line with what you're saying, I think one thing they've done this season is they've made the fixtures from an FPL point of view really tricky. I think, like, obviously, City, because they're City and we've been used to them winning the league last few seasons and being so good, especially, that second half of the season, they're like unstoppable. But I think this season they've really kind of made picking players or jumping on and off players really difficult because the big thing at the beginning of the season was you can get up to 5 transfers. Amazing, great. We don't have to burn one or we don't have to, think, I've only got 2 and really I could do with 3. So that's been taken away. But what we're finding now is because of these fixtures, you go in, I want to build transfers maybe, this mini wildcard thing. But it's really hard because you go in, Palmer's got a great fixture run maybe here, but then you want Saka. Okay, Salah's doing really well at the minute. So actually, do I go all 3? Haaland's been really poor. So then you're like, if I sell Haaland, I can have loads of money. I can get those guys. But all of this relates to transfers. And if you haven't got enough transfers, you either can't get them or you just take a hit. You know what I mean? Or you be patient and try and build those transfers. But you're always then going to be, have I missed the boat? am I jumping on too late? Bruno this week, perfect example, which we'll cover. Like you get him for these 3, and then that's it. Otherwise you don't bother. So I think that it's made it albeit that the 5 free transfers has made it good. It's still made it really tough because of the way the fixtures have kind of panned out this season. I don't know if you boys agree or whether you're finding the same maybe this season. I got to 4 free transfers. I kind of mess my own plans up by whether it be overthinking or trying to think I'll go for this opportunity. So I managed to get there, but ever since I've really struggled. Do either one of you kind of like had a similar thing, or what do you generally think of this new way of the 5 free transfers and kind of players that we want to get to, but we can't quite get there? What's the best approach, I guess?
You go first, TT, so if I can listen to someone who knows what he's talking about.
No, mate, not at all. I mean, generally my mindset to the game is I preach patience. I play more of a patient game. I like to kind of plan ahead, but I feel like this season for me that's just not working out at all. And I'm now in the headspace that I need to just really attack fixtures, and like Reedy was literally saying, like where there's an opportunity to get on a player for a fixture swing, in previous seasons, we might have been hesitant to do that because we're looking at kind of more long-term planning and all that sort of thing. But I think the 5 free transfers kind of leans you that way. But I'm kind of in the mindset that I don't think there'll be a point maybe this season that I get to 5 free transfers, because there's so many premiums, there's so many options this season. There will inevitably be fixtures that we will want to get on and off for. So I'm now just I'm just going to attack fixtures, and very much Bruno's the topic of conversation this week. I've literally gone there for that pure reason, because I think the way we're going to make gains, especially now in an environment where more people are informed in the game, there's more people playing this game, it's harder to do well. I think being patient is not actually going to help as much this season, and I think the gains are going to be made kind of switching these premiums, getting your captain right. Like if you can kind of nail those things, that's what's really gonna, I think, push you up the ranks. So that's what I'm trying to adopt more. The wildcard 6 I think hasn't really worked out for people and the kind of template with that, so people are now kind of moving to a different structure. So I think that's really where my headspace is. I think as much as I would like to get to 5 free transfers maybe in previous seasons if that was an option, I think the way the pricing is this season, you really want to make the most of the good players who have good fixtures. And it might not be a case that we hold Salah for 10 weeks now. It's we maybe get Salah for the good run and then we switch back to Haaland, or we get Palmer for a few weeks and then switch to Son. I think that's just very much the way the game is going, but I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, just before you I'm just to kind of touch upon TT's point, is that, do you think then that maybe that says more about short-term planning? Because the big thing was, okay, they've took out the replays now, so there's less double game weeks, or there's less blanks, things like that, right? So then that goes, okay, right, we do have the ability to have more transfers. However, because of maybe shorter-term planning, because we know there's maybe one double game week here and a blank game week here, okay, we can use our chips there, and we don't want to have more of more preference or more options, I guess. So we're kind of going, right, well, let's attack the fixtures rather than go, look what may happen, or let's try and plan so far ahead. And that's what I kind of get from the T2, is that, like, being a patient manager is great. And obviously in previous seasons, it served you well. But maybe there's a change to that now, given what you've just been saying and given the things I've mentioned.
I agree. I think planning is less important this year. And exactly to that point, really, about less double game weeks, like that's just less relevant now. Like having your chips in a certain way, like if anything now with the mystery chip too, we've almost got too many chips for potential doubles and things that we can utilize them for. So this season feels very much like a trial for what will be the best way to play this game going forward when we have these kind of chips in this schedule, because it might be a case that a free hit is best used in a single game week, because a double game, the way the doubles will pan out, that you're not really going to maximize it as maybe you could have before. So yeah, I think it's very much still kind of figuring out what is the kind of best strategy in a sense. But also the beauty is there is clearly no right way to play this season. So many people doing well with both Haaland and Salah, people doing really well without Haaland, people doing really well without Salah. There is actually no real right way this season, which I think is also really good for the game.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Shane, on all that?
Yeah, do you know what? That's exactly what I've been doing this season. I think before, I probably planned for maybe 5 game weeks, roughly. Now I'm probably doing, probably not even 3, probably 2. All right, okay, you could probably say 3, right? But look at how much changes from Friday to Monday. You know what I mean? Like you say in your team, one moment on Friday, this team's going to smash it, which normally I'll look at that and be like, my team's going to smash this. And then by Sunday, I'm like, I didn't smash it. So, so much changes. Then you got international breaks, you got injuries and that kind of stuff that you probably change your mind as such. So I'm more short-term planning like yourself, TT. And there's always, you can only plan. Sometimes you plan a little bit too ahead and you're like, I've got the best set-up team for the next 7 game weeks. It never pans out like that. And a perfect example last week for me, when I thought nonchalantly a few weeks ago, Bournemouth, I don't really want them at City, at V City. I thought I'll just play them nonchalantly. And then I changed my mind and I took one out and I didn't play the other one. There's always players that do well on a weekend that you're not expecting it. And right now, people are conceding goals left, right, and centre. City, I mean, if you listen to my pod, I've been saying for weeks that City are due a beating because they're so light. They're so light in every aspect on the pitch. And Rodri, So kind of that's my take on it. The other one I wrote down actually in my hand, just for notes, is premium players. So important this year. Your Palmers, your Salahs, maybe not Haaland so much just now, and if you have them for 3 or 4 game weeks and you move them out, there's nothing wrong with that. Gone are the years, last season, the season before, you'll have Haaland for a whole season. You'll have Salah. He's not going anywhere. It's fine to move him out. You just have to move him out at the right time. But that's one thing that I've taken as well away this season. I'm making my decisions. Like if someone changes my mind because they've got a good argument, I've still made that decision to change my mind. And I just think at the start of the game week, I've made my decision for this team. This is all on me, rather than, they made me change my mind. Well, just go with what you think, because it's infinitely better, isn't it? It's like, for me, that's why I play the game. Are we going to win it? I mean, I don't want to tell everybody we're not going to win it. I'd like to win it, but I prefer, I think Buonanotti's going to do well this week. You know what I mean? Like yourself, Rudy. Like he comes in, he scores a goal. Yes, that's the game weeks that, make me want to play the game more. But
there's different type of wins, isn't there, that people get from the game? Like I guess, and that's that's just sometimes how we are as people and as FPL managers and stuff. But one thing I hate, and I've hated for a long time now, is 5 substitutions. I hate that coming in for FPL. That was a killer, because how many players have we seen? They nearly made 60. They've got a clean, right? They've been taken off at 57, 58. Or managers are more than prone to make subs because they've got that wiggle room now. Whereas back in the day when it was 3 subs, it was definitely better for the game, I would say. But the increase, they've took away the cut replays, but obviously players are playing more games now, new Champions League format. So it obviously helps in that context. But for FPL, 5 substitutions was a slight killer, I guess. But I don't want to. I know TT's got to go. You made some great points there in terms of owning your own decisions, I suppose, in how we are playing the game this season, and what TT was saying about his change or approach to it compared to maybe previous seasons. I think this season definitely does feel a little bit at times trially and teething problems, like how we want to maybe play it, and will that be the case again next season, or will we have a different approach? It's a learning curve, I guess, for now. But yeah, the fixtures for this week, boys. Top 3 fixtures. You can all pick one. I'll go with you first, TT, because I know you may have to go soon. What's the one for you this week, whether it be FPL or sort of even just from a footballing point of view, bud? I know there's one that stands out that's kind of clear, but I don't know if you're going to pick that one.
Yeah, so maybe I won't say the obvious one that you might go for, but I'm going to go for Man United Leicester this week, because I think it won't be the game that teaches us what we need to know about the future, because this is Rui van Nistelrooy's last game, and then Amorim will come in and his way of playing could be completely different, right? Like, we obviously know he likes a 3-back formation. Whether he actually goes with that to start or not, remains to be seen. But I think Man United are in a period where obviously Ten Hag has now gone. Van Nistelrooy seems to have done pretty well. Like, he's galvanized the players here, and they've picked up some good results. And I think now they're coming into a run of 3 really good fixtures. I think on paper, these are probably 3 good fixtures you'll get, right, with Leicester at home, Ipswich away, and Everton at home. So I'm very interested to kind of see how people will view Man United players. I think there's a really good opportunity here, especially with the new manager, that we can jump on these players, and getting on these players now before everyone else, I think, will be one of those edges that I think people in the community will look to get. And I'm certainly one of those people. I think Bruno, especially at this period of time coming into congested fixture periods of Christmas, is the exact kind of player you want. 90 minutes, penalties, in a new system. He could now hopefully be playing in the attack as opposed to the midfield. Like, these are the kind of players that I love to pick up. So I'm all in for that, and I want to reap the rewards as early as possible. So that's the game I'm most interested in this weekend.
Yeah, nice. And yourself, Shane? Anything in particular? I know you.
Yeah.
I noticed something before you. I know I keep interrupting you, but I always think of something when you're about to speak. I'm like,
oh, sorry, mate.
I seen something on the double pivot with you and Kieran that you think Brighton are going to like cause a shock or beat City like 3-2 or something like that. Now that might not be your game, but I just thought I'd mention that because I found that really interesting. But
no, yeah, it was probably good to jump because I probably would have went for a United game like TT. I think even though it's Van Nistelrooy's last game, I think he's done well to lift the players. And they've always had good players there. They've had one issue. Well, they've had a lot of issues because it's a bit of a joke club. But sorry, any United fans. But is the manager. He's not a good manager. He's not good tactically. He's not a good man manager. I don't think he's ever been that good. I think he got a little bit lucky for an Ajax team that was unbelievable. Do you know what I mean, really? That Ajax team was phenomenal. And you could probably play, like as a Barca or a Bayern, you could play players wherever you want. You could have played Neuer in midfield if you wanted. You still win the game. So I think he got lucky with that job. And Amarin, the lift he'll give is massive. But no, that was the other game I was thinking of, mate, is Brighton City. Listen, last week I said, I stopped short of saying Bournemouth to win 2-1. And I should have really just stuck by it. But I went for 1-1 in the end. It was still a shock because Man City didn't win. But I think this weekend and this clump of games they've had shows the weaknesses that they do. I mean, I don't know if you watch much Champ League, really, but they got battered by Sporting the other day, 4-1.
Yeah.
Granted, it's Amarin's team. He's great. But, it's shown their weaknesses, mate, and not only defence, but mid up top as well, and their squad. I mean, what do you think?
Of games, have they? They've just got no control of a game as much. Like, don't get me wrong, they'll still have most of the possession. They'll still have they're still a real threat. And actually, if anything, in that first half against Sporting, they probably should have scored a second goal. So that game then would have panned out differently. And in the Premier League, they've not looked like absolutely abysmal, but compared to what we're used to seeing and compared to the midfielders and the players they've had, Rodri, KDB. There's players that are coming in that they're good players, but they just don't have that same quality. Kovacic, Nunes, Savino's been okay, but not amazing. Doku, I don't think he was. I guess
that's
not
the thing, really.
They hope for, but I mean, I just think he's the type of player that you play in specific games, and Pep's converted him from being that fast, attacking, exciting winger to Jack Grealish, retain the ball. Go back if you need to, etc.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing. Like City, they've got a phenomenal team still, right? And even Gundogan, they brought back from a free, which is insane. You're bringing him back from a free from another great team. He's a class player. But for me, you look at that squad, right? And one, he'll set it up different. Like this whole thing with Foden, that he's not playing him in the 10 while KDB's injured, is insane to me. Last year, Foden was the PFA Player of the Year. He scored 19 goals in the league. And he scored 28 in total for the whole season, like for club and country. And then he's shifting him from left to right, not playing him in 10. I don't really know what he's doing, in my opinion. I think Foden has to leave because it's affecting England as well. But my point is, like, who are you going to bring on to change the game? You're going to bring Grealish on to change the game? Nah. You're going to bring Doku on? All right, he's fast, but he doesn't have much end product. Savinho, like you're saying, you've changed him back to redistributing the ball. I don't see many players that he's going to bring on and be like, that's you know what I mean? They're looking a bit weak-wise.
Yeah, I think ultimately we all have seen evidence and we know about how good KDB is and how good effectively Haaland can be when KDB is on the pitch, finding that pass and etc. And they've kind of like got no one that can do that. I mean, KDB might be back now. I know he came on for a little bit for them recently.
He's just too injury prone, isn't he?
Yeah, and Brighton are almost like that. They've got that, what's that? That Potter, the Zerbi feel that at times when they attack teams, they look really good. But obviously defensively, they're quite poor. But yeah, going on to sort of a game for me that I'm interested in. By the way, just in case anyone didn't know, it's a 1:30 deadline this week because there's no midday kickoff. So 1:30 BST, 7:30 AM EST. I know I've probably missed one of them out, but yeah, there's deadlines all over the world, isn't there? Everywhere you go. I know obviously Sharik is in San Francisco, so who knows whatever time his deadline is. But yeah, for me, I'll go for, it's a tough one. We play Villa at 8 o'clock, and then obviously you've got Chelsea Arsenal on the Sunday. I think I'm going to go for the Liverpool Villa game, and the reason I'm going to go for that is because we're top of the league now. We've got 2-point lead over City, 7-point gap over Arsenal. So if anything, this is a big game for Arsenal. I mean, if they drop more points, people then start saying, don't need, they're out of the title. We know what the media are like, on kind of saying that. But this is big for us because Villa have just come off the back of a defeat in Europe. I don't know if you boys seen the penalty decision on that. That was
mental.
Yeah, it's my idea.
Just keeps happening, doesn't it? And you're like, the stuff never surprises you. But anyway, Schlott's trying to keep that momentum going, stay top. Villa are a decent team. This season they've been pretty decent under Emery. So I think that's a massive game on us, just because we're now the focus of, you've got to keep that going. And it's a tough period coming up. Obviously, during Christmas, there's a lot of games, and you want to kind of go into that international break still being top. So City is still there, although they've got their problems. I think we need to win this game to kind of establish and go, yeah. And I think, Liverpool Villa games are normally generally good anyway. So that'll be my pick. Yeah, we'll move on. But I mean, I know just briefly, Chelsea Arsenal it's a derby, big game, last game of the game week. I'll ask you boys, do we think both teams score in that game? Do you expect any clean sheets? Or I know Arsenal are probably most likely to keep if either of them keep one, but do you think both teams score in that game?
I think they do. Yeah. And I don't know what way he's going to go. Yeah, I don't know what way he's going to go. Like you're saying, Reedy, we were talking earlier, me and Kieran, it's a really important game for Arsenal. Yeah. I think Odegaard, he'll probably play about 30 minutes, and I think he'll actually just edge it, and I think he'll get the winner for Arsenal.
Oh, big call.
Interesting. Oof.
Don't remind me if he doesn't then, but if he does, then just remind me.
We'll be straight on you, mate. We'll be straight on you.
I think also really depends if Palmer's fit as well, right? Like,
in fact, yeah. Didn't even think about that.
If Palmer's out, I think that's a really big chance for Arsenal to get a good result there. But
is
also
he looking like he's out, TT?
What's that, sorry, mate?
Is he looking, sorry, but is he looking like he will be out? Or
I think Maresca's press conference is at 1, so we'll find out. But there was a doubt, like, I think he said midweek he hadn't trained, so could be a serious doubt for the weekend. But I think this is also a really good opportunity for Chelsea to kind of stamp where they are in terms of the other teams this season. Like, if they can beat Arsenal, I think, then that really puts them in the conversation for Champions League as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Before I look at the most transferred in and out players, thank you to everyone who's joined and is watching. I know that Colm's on here, and I think he was taking the mick at one point saying you boys running late or something about Shane's mouse or Wi-Fi. Someone mentioned something anyway. But yeah, thanks for joining, Colm. It's nice to see you there. I know Gary's in here as well. Good to see you, bud. And Miriam, and a few of the people who've joined. David, great stuff on FPL Elite lately, veteran. So that's to you, Shane. Been on with Steve, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, top man, mate.
Yeah, and
just like yourself, Rudy, and yourself, TT. Yeah, just like extend that.
Shane, always full of compliments.
Sharing the love, sharing the love. What's going on? Yeah. But on to the most transferred in and transferred out. As I say, I mean, I say it's no surprise. I mean, everyone's getting rid of Haaland, right? Chris Wood, he's been banging form. Forest fixtures have been really great at the beginning of the season, probably overperformed in terms of his expectations. People who went for him over DCL are obviously absolutely buzzing, and people who still own DCL. This isn't. I'm not digging you out, by the way, TT. I'm not.
Oh, mate. I'm just having PTSD for the last 7 weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, boys. I mean, like, I feel like Solanke and maybe Salah would be sort of expected, but anything particularly kind of doesn't make sense, because I know we've talked a little bit about Bruno, TT. Villa fixtures might be becoming a little bit more tricky and stuff like that. But do we think it's the wrong decision to sell Haaland this week or not?
Yeah, it's so difficult to say, because yes, last week it worked out that Salah did better than Haaland, but should Haaland have scored? Probably. Like, I think we say that every week. You look at his numbers, he's still putting up really, really good numbers. And this is in a team riddled with injuries. If KDB is potentially back, they get some of these players back, it could be a completely different outlook in 2 or 3 weeks. So I've sold Haaland. I've made my bed. I think I'm going to lie in it for a while and kind of just see how it plays out. But
yeah,
if I was a Haaland owner this week, I think he is better captain than Salah, personally. Just purely on the basis, I think his numbers still look good. I think Pep is that kind of manager that this kind of form that they're in, I'm not expecting it to continue for much longer. Whether it is really injury driven and, this is the City that we're expecting this season, maybe that is the case, but just for what we know from history, that I think they will turn things around soon enough. So I'm not expecting Haaland to stop scoring for the foreseeable future. I'm sure he will continue to do well, but I guess we're making the bet that other players will match or do better. So if I was a Haaland owner, I wouldn't personally sell this week, but I can completely get why he's probably the top transfer.
I'd do the same
as well.
I'd do the same. If I had him now, I'd keep him, because I can see against Brighton, Brighton are fairly open as well, so I can see him getting a haul. And like you're saying, better than Villa's a tough fixture. I know. Like, listen, Liverpool at home, right? Yeah, they are. I think. Liverpool at home, right? Yeah. So all right, and Salah probably get a return, but if I had them both, I'd probably captain Haaland, to be honest, because he's never not going to score again. It's funny, we're so reactive, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? From midweek and stuff, and he'll probably bang in 4, and we'll be like, oh, what were we thinking? Do you know what I mean? So. And transfers they're important to have in your hand. So you got to make sure that if you are swapping them, that individual is going to outscore them by at least 4 points.
I'm getting like kind of a similar vibe to game week 2, and that was when I think Haaland did well, but a bunch of other players did well that week, like maybe Palmer or like a Son and stuff like that, and people kind of matched. People who didn't have Haaland matched the teams who had Haaland and stuff like that. So I'm getting that sort of similar feeling this week that, Spurs have got a good fixture against Ipswich. United have obviously got a good home fixture. People who are going to have Bruno, Solanke, Salah in their teams are still going to do well enough without Haaland. That's how I feel this week might go, but it could just absolutely smash it and score 4 or whatever. I'm really undecided, which I'll talk about a little bit later on when we talk about captains and so on, who we're picking this week, because I do have both. So I was leaning towards Salah, but you saying about people not influencing your decisions and owning them, Shane. I'm stuck on this one. I really am stuck. But yeah, I mean, Chris Wood feels like people are jumping on. I don't know if it's necessarily the right time, given that Forest fixtures that are coming up. Newcastle, Arsenal, yes, they have a good fixture against Ipswich, but then it's City, Man United, Villa, pretty sort of difficult fixture run, albeit that they're doing fantastic this season for us. Solanke, any of you boys own Solanke? I don't think none of us own Solanke this week. So maybe there might be someone who's getting him, whether that's Shane and or I know TT might. I don't think you're getting Solanke this week, but Havertz. Just before I finish up on this, would you sell him then? I know he might be injured or could be out, but do you think he's someone that you'd hold anyway? Like you'd still hold him regardless? Are Arsenal's fixtures good enough, or is there not better options maybe that you could get instead of Havertz? Like his minutes aren't a question, right? However, his returns haven't been, amazing per se.
Mm-hmm.
So a Havertz to a Solanke this week, if someone's to do that, is that just a 1 week thing, or do you think that's a good move for the foreseeable?
I think that's probably more of a 1 week punt, really. Like I own Havertz now. I find Havertz frustrating in the sense that he doesn't have penalties, but he plays for a brilliant team, and when that team clicks, I know he can put up really good numbers consistently, and that's hard to find, especially like we said in this environment with 5 substitutions. Like Havertz is one of those players similar to Saka that will pretty much play 90 at every game. So I'm basically thought about it, and I'm just banking on now Odegaard coming back, Arsenal coming into a great turn of fixtures. I'm just going to kind of see it out with Havertz for a few weeks and just see how he plays. He's never that kind of player I think, he's going to get double-digit haul. I always find his ceiling is probably lower than some of these other players, but I think just kind of given the fixtures and with kind of Arsenal's injury list hopefully turning around for the better, I'm just going to kind of stick on it for a few weeks. And people might look there in a few weeks to go to Havertz and kind of go for a double attack if you got Saka as well. But I don't know, what do you guys think about Havertz?
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same as you were saying, TT. I like to choose players that have, a huge upside, and he's not risky because he always play, and he'll take over. He'll get, assist, he'll get a goal. But like you're saying, he's not going to score 2 or 3 typically anyway. So I prefer to get somebody else. But yeah, I would leave him in because it's hard because we look at fixtures. I do it quite often, and I think, they've got a fairly hard run. But then you think to yourself, well, hold on, he's a striker. I'm not bothered if they lose or they get beat or they concede. Is he going to score? Exactly. Sometimes I think we lose sight of that. So I'd keep him. I mean, Chelsea aren't this all singing, all dancing, fantastic team right now. They're still leaking goals left, right, and centre. And Havertz is usually involved in the build-up in the Arsenal attack. So I can see him getting a return or a few this weekend.
Yeah. Interesting one. I mean, that sort of takes me on to forwards. I don't want to spend too long on some of these topics. Try and whiz through them just so we can get obviously our teams and what captain picks we might be going with. I know that TT's going to need to obviously go a little bit soon. So I tell you what, then before I mention anything forwards and talk about that with Shane, are you able to share your team? I don't think you can you? TT?
I don't think I can, but if maybe you just pull up last week's team.
Is he in the league? Is he in your league?
Yeah, so he's in my league. So I'll get his team up, and we can have a quick look and see. So there we go. TT
quite big on Bruno. TT, yeah, I'm the same actually.
I've gone for it. Yeah, I'll get into it.
He's gone for it. There we go. So this is how you're looking from last week, mate. How many changes have you made? Go on.
Yes, so pretty much similar lineup. I think when I looked at this team, Calvert-Lewin is the one that just really sticks out. That I've kind of backed him for 6 weeks. It just hasn't worked out at all. So I've really had to just move him on. And with the kind of conversation earlier about the way we feel like an edge can be gained this season is by kind of getting on some of these more kind of mid-premium kind of assets that can kind of really deliver for us. Like Bruno just really fits that bill with this fixture run coming up. He's not very highly owned. So that was kind of my thinking for the move. So I have done Calvert-Lewin and Rodgers out for Strand Larsen and Bruno for a hit this week.
Strand Larsen, love it.
Yeah, so I've now gone to double Wolves attack, and I'm starting both of them. and I'm benching Havertz and Gabriel this week. So
I love that. I love the double. I was talking about this the other day. Strand Larson, Cunha double. Mate, it could be massive this weekend. I think
when
they smashed them.
When I looked at the cheap forwards, I think there's some really good picks. Like Wood stands out for me. I think regardless of the tough fixtures, I think he'll just keep ticking along. He's just a player I think I will end up getting because regardless of fixtures, I think sometimes you just got to look at the form of some of these players. And Forest are just a team that are just great vein of form, playing really good football. The fixtures I don't think necessarily might apply to them as much as maybe some other teams. So Wood is one I did look at, but Strand Larson for me with that fixture run, I think his minutes look good. He's maybe not as explosive as some of these other players, but I'm just going to back the fixtures. So if one of them does something, I'll try and get a return out of either one of Cunha or Strand Larson. So.
I mean, I don't really overly look at predictions. I'm not a big fan. I know some people use it, but he's predicted to get more points this weekend than Cunha, Strand Larson, which is quite interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think the reasoning for that was because of Sarabia. I think the predictors don't like it when Sarabia plays because then Cunha's lower on the penalty front because they think Sarabia would take the penalty. So,
really?
Yeah, I think Strand Larson's a really solid pick. I think considering it's his first season, like he's done pretty.
He's a good player. So, he's a good player.
I think he's done well so far. So yeah, that's my moves. Strand Larson and Bruno in. I'm still debating a Bruno captain. I think is that
not
too
a bad
punty?
show, you know.
Is that too punty? I don't know. But I think it might be there. It could be there. The options.
I love that.
Yeah.
Could be there. Oof. I mean, could be a big week potentially for you then, TT. If you go for the Bruno captain, I mean, the ownership's probably still going to be, it is going to be a lot lower than Salah and Haaland anyway. But, especially if you're trying to gain a little bit and you're trying to have better game weeks, you have got to be a little bit brave at times. But
I think so.
I think being brave and actually that over...
it's like overstepping the mark, right? I still think Salah, as a player, is by far a better player. I've always backed Liverpool at home, so I probably will end up captaining Salah. But it is in the back of my mind. Is there an opportunity to go a bit different this week? I don't think there is a standout captain. So, that's where I am. Unfortunately, gents, I'm going to have to leave you both. But it was great to chat, and
it's been great.
I'll be back on the show soon. Yeah.
No, thanks for dropping by or stopping by, TT. I really appreciate it, and hopefully have you back on at some point, mate. And good luck with those moves this week. Hopefully, obviously, doesn't do too well because this season I'm above you in the league. I'd like to keep.
Mate, I know. Don't remind me. So.
Well, listen, man.
I'm hunting you down, Reedy. I'm hunting you down.
I know full well, Shane. I've talked him into this -4. I've been trying to do it all week, and then he's finally done it, and I'm like, come on, I mean, as well, like so. Good luck, mate, with those moves. I'm hoping double Wolves does really well for you.
Yeah, cheers, lads. See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Catch
you in a bit, mate.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of strikers,
I love that.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, his moves are great, right? Going for Bruno, going for Larson, 2 good moves. I mean, the thought process and going for them makes complete sense. Whether it pays off or not is a completely different,
of course,
completely different thing, right? We can't always control that, and it's what is that? Good decision, wrong outcome, right? Which is a horrible saying, isn't it? Everyone must hate that. So fuck off, like good decision, wrong outcome. Yeah, like how many things in life can you relate that to? So but yeah, forwards I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, Shane, because we've talked about Chris Wood. We probably don't need to cover him. We've talked about I guess Strand Larson that you're saying there, the cheaper option compared to Cunha, and the data, or people expecting him to get a higher return than Cunha. But players like Solanke and Isak, I wanted to kind of mention those two because Solanke's obviously a great pick for this week. He did well last week. He's a decent enough price point, I guess. But then you've got Isak there, who's now back. And are either these two in your sort of thoughts going forward, or you kind of, I've got other plans, so I'm going to stick with what I've got at the minute?
Again, like I was saying, I kind of do. I don't go too far into the future, but I do have people, like a kind of watch list type sketch. Isaac's one because I see him as a premium asset, not in terms of Salah and Palmer and Haaland, but that kind of just a rung down, because when Newcastle score, he's always involved. And some games, like last season, mate, he had like 2 goals and 2 assists. So he had some big scores. Same with Solanke. I love Solanke. I think he's a great player. But Spurs don't really set up for him. Do you know what I mean? They have the wide wingers that come in. And before the game at the weekend, he was doing the Harry Kane kind of deep roll.
Yeah.
So I'm a little, I don't know. I know they play Ipswich this weekend, but I've got
Is that something
feeling
as a pressing team? Because Spurs they're very attacking, very pressing, and just likes to play a high line. Sometimes actually that's a problem for them because they get caught out and stuff. But is that not something they can surely work on and go, okay, let's play to Solanke's strengths. Let's actually look for that ball in behind, because we're so high pressed. And you look at Kulusevski, who found that pass, and Solanke obviously took it away. I mean, it's weird because they play to their strengths from Son and Brennan and that sort of coming in, as you say, the wide men. But you've got a striker there who can finish. So surely you'd be kind of going, let's look for this guy and let's try.
Well, he scored. He's 19 last season, I think, for Bournemouth.
Yeah, great.
I mean, for Bournemouth, it's not the Bournemouth that we see now. It's a Bournemouth that want the best. But I don't know. I'm going to say something that's a bit
hot take. Here we go.
Conflictive. Yeah, probably a hot take is, and he was at Celtic for years. Really, really good manager at Celtic. Very attacking, very entertaining. He's a good manager. But is he, in my opinion, he's not a very adaptive manager. And he says it all the time. Look, mate, that's the way we play. And I love that. But he doesn't adapt during the game, really, does he? I mean, listen, I'm no tactical genius, but obviously he'll change some little things. But he doesn't change the style of way he plays. Do you know what I mean? He has a high press. He plays through the wingers. He doesn't change that through the game. And I think that's a weakness in his managerial ability that most have. I have
to agree with you, mate. I think that's a very good point in terms of controlling games and so on. I mean, they look a threat in terms of the numbers that they provide from scoring, but obviously they don't always then look convincing. And there's always something from a neutral fan's point of view that in the back of your mind is like, they're going to do a typical Spurs, dominate the game in terms of chances and look
unpredictable, aren't they?
But then get beaten stuff like it's a crazy sort of, if you want to call it philosophy or way of playing and tactics. And it's not for everyone, I guess. But I think that is ultimately something that could be a chink in his armor or like a downfall, if you like, a negative about him. Like I say, Solanke's there. I know a few people are going to be going, well, based on the transfer trends, what we've seen, people are moving him in just because of this fixture. We've got an international break coming up. So reactive,
haven't we? It was a good point you made and Kieran made earlier. We've got an international break coming up. And with work and life and family, I sometimes forget that, and sometimes it's good to just hold off. One thing I would say, the transfer's out. Who are the crazy people that are taking Luis Diaz out, by the way, after that Champ League midweek game where he played as a 9?
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
I've been thinking about getting him in,
Well, Diaz, I've had since the beginning of the season. One of the things that I did get right that I didn't manage to mess up was I kept him on the wild card, right? So I sold Diaz when he'd gone up to about 8.1. I was stupid because I got rid of him and he went up the next night because I didn't think he was going to go up and I would have got an extra 0.1. So I was a bit miffed about that. But anyway, I kept him. So I kind of sold him when he was near enough at his highest price and when he wasn't starting games because Gakpo would come in. I don't know if FPL-wise it's okay to go back to that because Slot likes Gakpo on that left now. He's played him so much. It's hard to know that. And Darwin's obviously not played midweek Champions League or didn't start the game in the Champions League. So I think even more so now, who the hell's the guy other than Salah? Gakpo, maybe? Like, he's a forward in FPL. So we talked about all the forwards that are great picks. Is Gakpo genuinely a pick? Are we kind of avoiding Liverpool because we're worried about this rotation and stuff? But really, is Gakpo actually the guy now from the left?
Maybe. I think what Slot's shown us though. I mean, you know better than me, mate. But with the whole Kwanzaa thing in the first game, he's ruthless, mate, and I like that. If you're not up to his standard of playing the way he played, guess what? You're sitting on the bench for weeks until you get an opportunity. If you take the opportunity, you might come in. And you don't think he might play Luis Diaz as a 9 like he did the other night? If Nunes doesn't start banging him in, I think he won't get fed up with him, but You know, he's not afraid to change the system, is he? Not the system, the players.
That's it, yeah. And I think it's because of the versatility of some of these players, like Diaz, Nunes, can both play on the left or maybe even centrally. Obviously, we've not seen that very much at all from Klopp. Playing Diaz as that, you know, whether it be false nine, striker nine, whatever you want to call it. But obviously, he's got that pace. He can run in behind. His finishing seems to improve this season. But I think it's just that from what he said is that it depends on the availability of players. You know, as always, there's a lot of games. People pick up knocks. Look at Jota, for example. Decent in the beginning of the season. I had him in FPL, but then, you know, you're always thinking, when's he going to pick up that knock or that injury and stuff? So he's got an abundance of striking options. And unless you want someone, one of the biggest headaches in FPL is, are they nailed? Are they going to get 90? You know, do they look good? Eye test, or whether it be data. And that kind of gives you that decision, or helps you with that decision making. And as good as Diaz is, I absolutely love this guy. I just don't know if it's still
for FPL.
I don't know, but from I absolutely love him. But he's a good left winger, but he's also shown this week he can play in that, you know, that middle position of the strikers. But yeah, I mean, Isak. He's the higher end, isn't he, of price points of strikers? He's 8.3, I think, in FPL.
Yeah.
So maybe,
I mean, Watkins is what? What's he, 9.1? So he could go there instead of Watkins.
Great, right? Yeah. What do you think about Isak overall? Do you think that, you know, he fits both of that eye test and also then FPL?
I think he does. I like watching him, and we always forget players that are injured for a while, and until they start banging regularly, then we go, oh yeah, what about this guy? When we knew previous he was a good player, we want to see certain stuff, or we ignore it. I think he'll get some really, really big holes this season, and Newcastle's attack has been completely different without him in it. They've not been as good as what I thought this season, even with Gordon, you know, playing half decent.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And he's on pens. There's not been many pens. I think there'll be more pens coming up. You know?
Yeah. Two topics I wanted to kind of cover. One is United players. So I guess now is the time to talk about Bruno. But also, not only Bruno, do you go all in on United? I mean, great 3 fixtures coming up. Obviously, last game for Rude, and then Amarin comes in. So I guess we're not going to know what formation Amarin likes to play. Is it going to be the same as what he had at Sporting and so on?
Yeah.
But then, do you go for 2? Do you maybe even go for 3? Like, what's your thoughts, Shane, on like defensive, or even, you know, a Garnacho or something, or a Højlund, I should say?
Højlund, yeah. You never know. I was quite buoyant on him, and Bruno's. Like, spoiler, he's coming in this weekend. Saka's out, Bruno's in.
Oh.
Which some people think might be quite big. I just think over the next 3, which they've got some easy fixtures, even in Europe, fairly easy, he gets more than Saka.
Yeah.
I think he gets some big hauls. But yeah, I think people started noticing a Garnacho. I love watching Garnacho play, especially off the left, which is where he should be playing. And I know Ten Hag, before he left, kept playing Rashford, probably to his downfall because of his name. I mean, he's not done, really. Can you remember the last time Rashford done anything? I can't. It was probably Champions League about 3 years ago, mate. Genuinely.
He pops up with something, scores a really good goal or a couple of goals, or does well, and then people go, oh, Rashford all of a sudden. But it's just, the consistency isn't there. There's games where he plays with his head down and he just doesn't look. It's his body language.
Do you know what? It's a bit kind of off topic, but that's down to him, right? He's in a team, but United have been playing poor for a while, and he's meant to be world class. Genuinely, and it's not a thing against him. He's fantastic. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy. He's got his eyes on too much stuff. My little boy bought a book the other day, a book to read at night before he goes to sleep.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford book, right? Again, there's nothing, do all that kind of stuff. And the book was really good. It was really good, and it had some stuff behind the meaning and all that.
Yeah.
But for me, he's not concentrating on being a footballer. And a lot of people hate Ronaldo, probably more so than Messi. But Ronaldo used to train constantly. He used to put all his time and effort. Rashford isn't doing that, and you can see clearly. And it annoys me because he's class.
It's ultimately what people want to see is a player playing for the shirt, and if they give 110%, it's why Roy Keane bangs on a lot about it. Is that playing for the shirt, they're more bothered about this or they're doing that.
Yeah.
And he hates it. And I understand that. I mean, especially if you were a former player and you were playing for a successful club, that you know what it's like. You've been in the dressing room and etc.
Exactly.
And I think that's been missing for a long time for Rashford. But, in terms of a positive thing, Garnacho, top little player, do rate him. Think he's great.
Yeah.
I think if he is starting for Amorim, which is, I know you've got Ahmad in there. You might have picked up a knock from the other night.
Difficult. I don't know if he does.
Garnacho should be starting for me. He creates loads of chances. His movement's good. But FPL-wise, does that mean that he's potentially a pick?
Like you're saying, going back to your original question, like who am I looking at? And before was Garnacho. But I'm quite buoyant on them in terms of I was maybe going to take a -4 for Dallo, that left wing back position. He hits the ball really well. He scores a lot of really good goals. Yeah. I think maybe just apart from Bruno, for me, I'm probably going to wait till after the international break and see how they get on, because he might play a flat back 4 until January where he buys someone, or he might go straight into his his wing backs. One thing Amorim does do, me and Kieran were talking about in the pod before, was he improves players tenfold. There was players at Sporting when he got there weren't even in the side that then came in and performed amazing. So there might be some surprises in there. I mean, one for me is I might look at De Ligt, mate. He always scores. Yeah, he always scores. I know you're a Liverpool fan, really.
Everyone turns off now. You mentioned De Ligt and everyone's like, right.
No, Jen, I mean, we always forget. I looked him the other day. Guess how old De Ligt is?
He's only young, right? He's 24.
Oh, he's 25. But he's
25.
been around the scene for years. And he scores everywhere he goes, every season. All right, he's a defender. Get that. But he's already scored one. He'll score more. And Man United will start.
League, right, though? In the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I know. But like you're saying, people might look at Højlund. I just want to give that little bit extra time. Apart from Bruno, I think Garnacho will still start. But could you put him on the right? Would you start him in the right?
I don't know if he's... I don't know. I think he likes those sort of small little jinky players who are going to be creative, who are going to attack, make runs at people. And I don't know. I feel like, I don't think he'll play on the right. I don't reckon anyway.
I think he'll find a space for him anyway. I think it'll be somewhere we don't expect, because I think Dallo will play that in the position, but he'll find a place for him. I think he has to start. He's one of the best players.
Yeah, that's true.
Or what about, here we go, right, this is craziness. I've said De Ligt, right? The people I haven't turned off yet. What about...
Oh, that's Monday. What? Go on.
What about Onana for the next 4?
Oh, okay. Onana. I don't think it's a bad call. 5 million.
Some good fixtures. Yeah.
Fixtures. Unpredictable, though, at times still. I think I see a keeper in there and I'm going... Like, as in, he puts on some performances and I go, he looks like a decent keeper. Then he'll do something really daft. And I'm going, this guy hasn't got it yet. He's just not. You know what I mean?
I don't overly rate him, mate. I actually think he's poor at crosses. He's poor at handling the ball. I just think the fixtures they have in like FPL, the way it is, he'll probably get a few clean sheets.
I think it was like, right, who can we pick? Okay, this guy's got a decent CV. He's played for some good clubs. All right, he might have made a couple of thingies, but we're not paying big money like we were for De Gea, because I know De Gea was on crazy money. Let's get this guy in. He'll do half a job.
And that's what he's done, half a job, really.
If he's on any type of bonuses due to his clean sheets and everything, he's not doing.
He's on it, yeah. He's on it. Yeah. He's
lost out.
Putting his life on the line for that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know Colm's putting there. Højlund looks like he could be an Amorim type of player.
Yeah. He's only young. What? He's 21. 21, 20.
Exactly. Different manager, learning new things and so on. And then it's Chris saying, after watching Robinson again on Monday Night Football, I feel I should hold him instead of getting Ignori. What you'll think? I've got Robinson at the minute. I think I'm playing him this weekend, actually. He's away to Palace. Yeah. I mean, what would you do in that situation, Shane? Would you hold Robinson, or would you go for Ignori? He's a Wolves fan, by the way. By the way, Chris is a Wolves fan, so this is probably part of the question.
We're talking about this, and I think Palace might actually beat Fulham. I think it might be like a 1-0. Yeah, I know, and I know they've been playing pool. I know, I get it. I just Fulham sometimes in the way fixture can go a little bit missing. It's a London derby. They've been playing well, but I just think Palace need a bit of result. I think they'll just play so defensive. It might even finish 0-0. But 8-0, if you got a transfer, I'd get him in. I might change my mind for Dallo for the -4 and bring 8-0 in for Robertson.
Yeah. Well,
Southampton, I think they'll beat them, mate.
And not only that, I guess the fixtures for Wolves are
exactly.
Really
it'll pay itself. It'll pay even if it's a -4. If you got a free transfer, I'd play him over him 100%.
I mean, the thing with that is, well, it's not a conundrum, but after the international break, Fulham play Wolves at home. So, so then obviously, like, it's a case of he sold Robinson. He's got 8 in Orient, and one scores more. It'll be like that's what will happen. It's typical peak FPL. But one last topic, mate, before I move on, is Villa players. Now, I've had 3 Villa players for a few weeks now. I know there's many managers with Rodgers. Have you got Rodgers or?
No, I've not had him all season, mate. No.
And they've been okay, but I guess that some games you go in. Ollie Watkins hasn't really been on it. Beginning of the season, he was getting taken off at 60. It was a bit of an issue. Is it the time now to sell Villa players, would you say? Based on maybe the fixture run or just generally, I guess, for other players who've got better games?
Well, I mean, I've had Konsa. I've had him from the start. Maybe I've had him from the start. I definitely sell. Well, you got Martinez, mate. I would probably definitely get rid of because they don't keep a clean sheet. So I'd get rid of defenders and the keeper. I tell you who I did like, and I didn't bring him in the end, and he went through a good run, was Digne. Because I know he's been a troll over the years, but he got assists in that. He's actually revitalised. So I'd get rid of their defenders. Midfield-wise, I mean, Rodgers is good, but I think we got lucky at the start of the season because he was so cheap and he's really, really good player. But he will get benched with Champ League. He won't be playing 90 all the time, and you have to offset that. So I'd probably midfield-wise, I'd only have maybe Rodgers and up top, possibly Watkins, but I think there's better alternatives for cheaper. So to answer your question, mate, probably only Rodgers. I don't know if you can think of anyone.
I
think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Rodgers as a whole, but some people will be looking to sell him. The tricky thing about Villa is they play us on Saturday night, then they've got a home fixture to Palace, then Chelsea away again, so away to a top side if you like. Then it's 2 back-to-back home, so they've got 3 fixtures out of 5 where they're at home, and 1 is Palace, 1's Brentford, and 1's Southampton. So if you're looking at that, you're going, they're great fixtures, them. So it's like, do you want to sell all of them? I mean, I think Rodgers in particular, if we're mentioning, put Martinez or Konsa or Watkins aside, it's like, could you actually keep Rodgers and maybe he could be your 8th attacker guy, who's on the bench, and you bring him in for whoever you've got during that period? It could be something, I guess.
He's probably the best value for money at that level, and he's a class player. Like Emery, he gives him. He kind of gives him a free role in that team, which for how old is he? 21, which for a 21-year-old is pretty much unheard of. So, he obviously trusts him, and he is really good. That's the only player I would have, but I don't think I would sell him because he's that cheap. I don't think.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right. Okay. Let's go into our let's get our teams up, mate, and let's see where we're at for this week. You said. Did you say you'd made a move? Let me just double check. Let's have a look.
No, well, in my head, I've made a move.
You've not made it officially yet.
I've not made it. What I like doing, I'll probably make my moves on Friday typically, because then you've got all week in case someone gets injured. Sometimes I'll make a few early moves, but
you like to see how the land lays and injuries,
especially Champ League, where you got Champ League in Europe. Like anybody could get injured, so to save like a -4, I just wait. And all right, you might lose a bit of value, but I'm not too bothered. The other players will even you out.
True. So this is your team at the moment. I know you mentioned about Bruno. You're going to be bringing him in. So you've got 1 free transfer this week. Is that right, Shane?
Yeah, that's 1, mate. Yeah. But we've got more transfers this season. I don't think I've been past 3, mate. I can't do it.
Yeah. So go on. Sort me through.
No, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think your bench makes absolute sense anyway. I think, Konsa, Robertson doesn't look.
In fact, do you think Robertson plays? I think he does. He didn't play midweek.
we don't
He
know.
played terrible against Arsenal, by the way, and I'm Scottish. He was shocking.
He wasn't great at all. And I know Tsimikas has played a couple of games. Robertson played in the League Cup against Brighton. Yeah. Honest answer, I think Schlott's been actually asked about this, about, I think it's something along the lines of, is Tsimikas now the guy? Let me just see if I can find it. I don't think
if he is, by the way, Tsimikas would be a great shout for FPL, actually.
Yeah. So some people might go there and kind of get Tsimikas, but yeah, he was asked something about it, and it was kind of like, I don't think there's anything he's given away in particular to like, oh yeah, Robertson's definitely dropped or anything like that. So I think at the moment, I guess we just got to wait and see. And it could be another one of those conundrums where you go like, oh, fucking, they go and rotate them both, and you just can't pick any of them then in FPL. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are going, I've got Trent there. He's not really returning much. He cost, he cost the big bucks. Can I get rid of him and get a Tsimikas? So yeah, I think you've got the bench right, mate. But I think that's the right team. Obviously, you're going to make a move. I think, was it Bruno for
Saka?
Saka?
Pretty set on that. No one else. I mean, actually, what I will do is I'll wait for the Palmer news, actually, because I keep forgetting. He might be out for a few weeks. Well, actually, sorry, it's the international break. So
yeah, he could be back. He could be back.
Actually,
that's probably actually. That is tough to do because a lot of people are wanting for 12. So
what? Yeah, actually, what I'll probably do, he's going to stay in there. I'll take the risk and say he's out for a week and a bit. You've got international breaks, probably enough time to recuperate. I'm pretty set on doing Saka to Bruno. I'm pretty set he'll come in, and I'm probably going to fix this defense, and I'm probably going to take Robertson out for 8 Nuri for a -4, and then that's done. You know what I mean? My defense has been really, really weak, and it's hurt me a lot. And I think Wolves v Southampton, 8 Nuri probably get an attack in return, and there's a high chance you'll get a clean sheet. Could be a 10, 12 pointer. So for a -4, I'll take that risk. And
what do you think about Lewis now? Do you think he's a problem? Pep basically he duped us all, didn't he? Absolutely.
It's Pep. I can't, but I forgot. I looked at the lineup and I forgot after. I was halfway through. I was like, "Where's Lewis?" He was like, "He's not even played." Walker. And this is Pep, and this is the main. Well, it's not the main reason. It's one of the reasons why they're not clicking, because he keeps changing stuff. He's like a tinkerer. Remember Ranieri? Yeah. He's continually tinkering, and that's what's caught him out a few times. That's why Man United won the cup, because he tinkered with stuff where they should have battered them in the final. I think he plays, though. I think he's missing too many stars. The pressure's on after the Sporting game and the Bournemouth game to not play well. I think he does play, and I mean, I'll take the risk. He's that cheap. I think even if he doesn't and Konsa comes on, the Liverpool game will be close anyway. So
yeah, I like the moves. I think it's kind of going like, do you need to make the 8 Nuri? The one thing that could bite you here is, okay, Saka to Bruno's fine.
Yeah.
If Palmer doesn't play,
although saying that, if Palmer doesn't play,
if Palmer doesn't play,
Saka.
You need your bench. So then you take a -4 to get 8 Nuri for Robertson. Robertson starts, keeps it clean. Wolves can see.
Oh, don't really.
Lewis doesn't play, and Lewis doesn't start, so you end up with Konsa. There's so many things that could happen with this. But the tricky thing is, you've got Palmer and Saka, so you're like, you don't want to get rid of Palmer because he'll probably be back after the international break.
Yeah, he's not injured. I think, what was the injury for Palmer? What was his injury?
Oh, I don't know.
Muscle strain or something. I don't think it was anything, specific in terms of like, right, he's done his hamstring, we need to know a time frame, or he's done his his quad, or he's done his ligament. I think it was probably something small. But I did think about playing Robertson, but do I want to take the risk that he then comes on, which I have done the week before last, and he came on for a 1-pointer. And really, he's how much was he? He's 6 mil, isn't he, Robertson? I'm sure he is. Yeah, he's 6 mil. That's a lot of money to be having in my back line.
Is he 6 mil, is he?
Yeah, I'll double check here. I'm pretty sure. In fact, he's in my team. I'm pretty sure he's 6 mil. He is
5'9". He's gone down.
Oh, he's dropped. Sorry, I've missed the drop, which I'm not too bothered about. Yeah, he's 5'9".
No, you were near enough, right? I mean,
8 Nuri is 4'5", or he might have gone up 4'6", but it's a mil and a bit. It's
yeah, exactly. One thing I want to show you regarding Palmer is this. What basically Maresca said. I think he plays. I don't think there's an issue with him. Well, I say there might be an issue with him, but I don't think it's enough to keep him out of this game this weekend.
A knock. I mean, a knock. Yeah, no, it sounds small, doesn't it? I think
they don't play until Sunday, so he's got an extra 2 days.
Oh, he was named in England squad, so he would have pulled out by now if he was injured, wouldn't he? I know you can't read into that, but
yeah, but I think Saka out, Bruno in, and then I think we could be okay with that.
I want to attack really this season. Like Southampton are so bad, and Leicester concede a lot of goals. Like they're doing all right, but they concede a lot of goals. I'm attacking these two sides, especially Southampton, mate. Every single game, every game.
No, I don't blame you. And your captain this week, I think you had it on Salah.
Do you know what? TT's got in my head, mate. He's got in my head, and
Bruno. You want to go, Bruno? Go on. You want to do it?
I might do. I might do. I mean, I could go Will. I mean, Nuri is captain. I know. Wolves are poor at the back. Southampton hardly score a goal, so he could be on. But it's a lot of risk. That's a lot of risk.
That's a big risk. Yeah.
I think.
I think based on the ownership, right? You look at Nuri, he's up to about 11%, maybe even might be a bit higher. But if you look at Bruno, and you look at probably, where you're at maybe in rank and stuff, if you were to captain him, he's 8.2, maybe a bit higher now. That might have changed. But if you looked at that top transfers in that we looked earlier, he wasn't even in the top 5. Fernandez, he's about 10th, maybe a bit higher. I mean, it would be bold. Don't get me wrong. 2 probably pretty decent fixtures. Obviously, Salah's at home, Haaland, that's Brighton, who are a little bit all over the show. It would be bold, considering you've got Salah, but I don't hate it at the same time.
I try and weigh up, see, it's difficult. It's going to take a lot for me to stray from Salah, because I think some games Villa can get slightly battered. Yeah, I mean, they've been good this season, but Liverpool at home, they're on form. They won 4-0 against Leverkusen. You know better than me, but they looked good. And it's risky to put it to Bruno. Like, how many more points?
Then, come deadline, you're going to be laughing it to yourself, thinking,
how many more points will Bruno? Basically, it all comes down to, what do you see them doing? Like, do I see Salah scoring or assisting? Probably. He's probably going to get a 10-pointer, I would assume. Right? Is Bruno going to get many more than that for the risk? No, he'd be quite lucky if he gets 10, actually.
If you had to say who's got the best fixture out of the 3, who would it be?
Who's between Salah,
Haaland, and Bruno? Salah, Haaland, Bruno. So United, City, and Liverpool. Who's got the best fixture?
I actually think Haaland, mate. To be honest.
Really?
Yeah, mate. And that, obviously, I don't own him. Like, I know a lot of people have taken people out of the week at Haaland out, but I don't know. I'll have to look at his record against Brighton. I'm pretty sure it's good, mate. And this is a perfect game. Brighton are open at the back often, mate. So I'd probably go with Haaland if I had him, mate.
Wow.
I can see a penalty as well. I can see a Brighton penalty.
Big call.
Sorry. City penalty.
From City, yeah. Well, he missed his latest penalty against Sporting. Smashed the bar, didn't he? So maybe he's not on penalties. Maybe
that meme? You know that meme when he was telling someone to shop and he's like that? I love that. So, Haaland's on a penalty, he missed it. I love that meme, mate. I love it.
Yeah. And then there was the thing about telling Arteta to be humble. And then obviously since fell off. As
a Liverpool fan, you're just like sitting behind like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, well, like from a Liverpool fan perspective, like the results couldn't have gone any better this week. I mean, Arsenal lost in the league, then Champions League. City lost in the league, then Champions League. Like,
you, as a Liverpool fan, right? Before I know we're getting to the end, right? Me and Kieran were talking about this, and he felt the same as me. We hadn't even discussed it. I felt it was like a Leicester-ish season. I'm not saying Leicester are going to win it, obviously, but he was talking about, could maybe Forest do that or something. We stopped short of saying Forest, but I do believe everyone's looking at City and Arsenal. And Liverpool behind, like, don't worry about us then. We'll just keep going. And I feel like Liverpool could, if they keep progressing, I think they could maybe do it. What's your thought? Because you're a fan. What is that through the through the support? Is anyone mumbling about that, or
not at the moment? Because I think
no,
when something's going well, you're always waiting for that thing to go shit.
Yeah.
And kind of something happens, and then it almost has that knock-on effect, doesn't it? So while things are good, they're good, and I guess you take each week at a time. But like, one thing I will say is that being top at Christmas has always been kind of like a big thing. Sky make it a big thing, the Premier League and whatever else. At top at Christmas, because I think traditionally, or like over the years, if we've ever been top at Christmas or we haven't been top, something like we haven't gone on and won the league. And I think if that is the case, because we've got tough games and City do have some easy games around that festive period, and we do carry on winning and we pull clear, that's then kind of where I'd be like, if we've got healthy gap and City is still looking really bad. And I do, by the way, I will say this, think City aren't going to finish as strongly as they have done previously. I don't think they do, because I think this is Pep's last season. I think he's gone after this. So I think maybe the players even know that. And yeah, I think that's what counts really. It's not a case of 10 games in now. You can't get carried away at this stage. It's far too early, although there is a bit of a gap again, to Arsenal. It's not enough of a gap against City. 2 points.
No.
You could be 9 points ahead of City and they have a good fixture run. You mess up 2 games before you know they're behind you.
I think, like you're saying, really, I think Arsenal, let's not get this twisted. Arsenal should have won the league last year, and they slipped up against Villa for the 3-3. I think it was a 3-3 or 2-2, and they dropped 2-2, and they dropped 2 points. And I think they got beat by Brighton or something like that, a game after before. City won the last 10 in a row. Does anyone think City are going to win the last 10 in a row now? No chance. No chance.
You know what, though, Shane? It's the easy games that kill you. It's the easier games that you're expected to win that kill you. They're the banana skins, because they're the teams that you forget. They're not fighting for a title, or they're not going for a Champions League. They're just going to survive in the league. And then when it gets to sort of, that time where you need to kind of step it up a level or see games out. Remember United used to do it years ago, 1-0ers, Fergie times. They're the games that you need to just get over the line, because ultimately the pressure's on. You know what I mean?
That's why I think it's why it's the best league in the world, mate. Like, I know that can you do it in a cold rainy night in Stoke? But genuinely, like, other leagues, they're just top 4 or 5. After that, that falls away. Don't get me wrong, Southampton and Leicester aren't the best teams, but pretty much anyone else, if you're not on your day, you'll get beat. That's what I love about the Prem. It's better in the Scottish League. I go and watch it the weekend anyway, but I don't watch it for quality. I take my little boy. We go and watch it. I'm a Dunfermline fan, so it's just good. It's just good to watch it.
Oh, of course it is, mate. Of course, that's what I mean. Like, I think it's very rare. We all expect everyone to be watching the Premier League, and it's so easy to kind of go, there's only this one league, and there's, I know there's all the European leagues, but, we kind of then forget there's leagues like the Championship's a crazy league, the amount of games to play. Then you have, obviously, all the lower leagues in that, League 1, League 2, all the national leagues, the Scottish League as well. Some people supporting their hometown clubs or clubs maybe they've grew up with and things like that. It needs to be in football. That needs to still be happening.
We've got a really good community team. So Dunfermline, and it's been like the fans have got huge input in there, and they've even saved the club at time with a lot of money. But that's what I like about community, and it's just we might score a goal and we do all right. But I'm in Nottingham for this weekend. So if anyone's about and there's games on, I'll have to look at, I don't know, Forest at home, but any other local teams that are kind of around there. If people are going, give us a shout, and I'm all for going to a game that's different. You know what I mean?
I always like against the TT side, Newcastle, mate. Sunday on Sunday, so I don't know if you're still going to be around.
Can't make it. I need a Saturday game. So if anyone's watching the pod and thinking, Nottingham's not that far from here, let us know, and I like getting to away games, mate.
Travel down there, go to a little game if it's not too far from where you are. That'd be awesome, mate. My team for this week is as follows: Haaland and Salah. I mean, double Brentford. So I've pretty much got a few doubles going on here, even a triple. Triple up with Wolves, which is a bit scary in FPL terms. I mean, having 2 doubles.
Have you made these?
Yeah. So my moves for this week were.
Have you done them? Have you done it?
Yeah, moves were made. Yeah, so I took out Martinez. I did that.
Yeah, I like the taking him out. I don't know about putting the
Don't know about
Sandman in. Although I have said they will start tightening up Wolves. Yeah. So it's maybe a good show actually.
I've made a move, and I'm like, I've not had the best experience with goalkeeper transfers during FPL or over the last few seasons, that's for sure. So obviously they've got Sam Johnson there as well. Johnston, he's lost his place. He got injured. There's rumours of a fallout between him and O'Neill.
Oh,
I mean, really? It'd be my luck that he comes back in this weekend for Sarr. You just wait.
He did. I don't want to panic you, but Sarr the other week.
He made a clanger, didn't he, last week? Yeah,
he's done it a few times. I think you'll be all right, though. I think you'll be all right.
But I'm hoping that's a move. I mean, I've got some money back. I've not got Martinez anymore. He got me a couple of clean sheets and some bonus, but 5 million or whatever. Thank you very much. I'm going to get rid of him. So I brought him in, and I also who else did I bring in? Oh, that was it, Cunha. So I've brought in Cunha before he had his price rise for Watkins. So I've took out Watkins and I've took out Martinez, double Villa for double Wolves. Yeah, I will see how that pans out. I mean, if I get a double clean sheet and a Cunha return, I mean, I don't. Other than my captain, I think I'll be happy. You know what I mean? I'll be happy then, regardless. I'm hoping, obviously, I get more than 41 points, but yeah, a bit of a. I don't know. We were talking about being sensible before and maybe sometimes going for it with TT. I'm either going to get really badly hurt by these moves, or it's gonna be euphoria. I don't think there's going to be a middle thing where I go, oh yeah, it was kind of all right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's either pure pain or just wow, that was amazing. You buzzing.
Joy.
Yeah. So I've not decided on captain yet. Holland or Salah, just probably
what
similar
you think,
to you.
What you're edging?
Well, you're saying, I'm probably going to go Salah, but then is it tempted to go Bruno? And then you're saying to me in the same sort of like breath, Holland's the best captain. So
I don't own him. If I had Salah and Haaland, I never like. Do you know what? I don't often like to do strikers because midfield get that extra point for clean sheet. They typically get higher up on the bonus. I know this year's a bit different for shots, but I just feel like there's more to go in the midfield. So yeah, I'd say they're joint, Salah and Haaland. I don't think I could decide. I think it'd be difficult.
Salah, you're thinking? Yeah, probably going to be Salah, to be honest. I mean, I'm quite enjoying Haaland's downfall.
I love it.
I am very wary or very well sort of aware that it won't last forever, and he could score 2, maybe even 3 this weekend. And then you're going, oh, why didn't I captain him or whatever? But I guess it's like I've got both. It's like if you're not gonna, why have both if you can only captain one, sort of thing. It's just that people at the beginning of the season,
I know what you mean,
have both done really well, didn't they? People who had Haaland and Salah, kind of 3, 4, 5 game weeks, did really, really well having them both. So
it's that shift. It's going to happen some game weeks, I think. For me, I like to think a little bit how I think the weekend's fixtures are going to go. Like if people thought about the team that they had sometimes, FPL team, and it's like, right, look at your team. What are you needing to happen for a good week? Oh, well, actually, I need, I don't know, Everton to beat Arsenal, and then I need, Wolves to smash Southampton. Well, I mean, that's probably going to happen, but a bad example. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you actually looked at your team, you'd be like, oh shit, hold on a minute, I need like 3 clean sheets, to do really well,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's. It's tough. Like when you're trying to make the right decisions, but there's always something that's going to kind of go against you. One thing I wanted to, let me see if I can get this. Not my team. So I'll stop that one. And this is for Chazza, who's basically, he's not here, but he sent me his team for this week. He's got 2 free transfers. He's rolling this week. He's going to captain Haaland, considering after everything we've just been saying. He's got McNeil, Johnson. He's got Chris Wood, Aina as well. So double Forest.
Oh, he's been smashing it then.
Obviously, double Wolves as well. This guy Flecken. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad team, is it? I mean, 2 free transfers, so he's going to have 3 after the international break.
Good
No
team,
Salah, no Salah in this team.
Ooh.
So we've both got Salah, haven't we, mate? And I think TT's got Salah, so he's going for Haaland captain.
Yeah, I mean, with that team, I'd go Haaland. That's a good team, you know. That's a really good team.
McNeil, you know, there's times.
I don't know if he's fit. Yeah, I think they're talking about today, but I don't. It's another player I think's overrated. If you look, I don't know, we thread on him. If you look back at his FPL career or his Prem career, he's never scored more than goals, and he's already on 2. And Everton aren't that good a team, so I just think. He's not that good. I don't like choosing, but he's still got a good team, really good team.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, bud. I'm gonna before we finish, I'm just gonna quickly. Chazza would normally do the captain's corner section of the podcast and so on of the stream, so I'll quickly do that section and we can crack on with the day, mate. I mean, it's only just after 1:30. So we've still got plenty of time left. But without further ado, game week 11, captain's corner, I guess. So I wasn't saying I'm doing this as well as Chazza, but you know, I'll try my best to do what I can. So captain's corner, game week 11, Erling Haaland. We'll start with him as we've been covering him for the last probably 15 minutes or so. Me and Shane, Bournemouth away. Despite 1 return in 4 games, is 11 goals, are 3 more than any other player in the league. So that's something to obviously consider when you're thinking about your captain choice this week. Mo Salah against Aston Villa at home in game week 11, blanked just twice under slot in his first 10 games, averaged 9.3 points per match. His 6 double-digit hauls thus far are at least double of any other player in the game. Managed to return in all 5 corresponding fixtures, 3 goals and 2 assists. Brian Mbeumo, Bournemouth at home this week. Top scoring player in home matches this season, 55 points in 5 home appearances. So, you know, I know probably people aren't going to consider Mbeumo much, considering we've got, you know, Haaland, Salah, but you never know, it might pay off this week. Dominic Solanke is the last one to wrap up the captain's corner this week. Ipswich at home, great plum fixture for them. Arguably the best out of the 3 of the other captains I've mentioned. Ipswich conceded the most goals, which is 21, and the most big chances of any side, 45. So, you know, that's something to look at. But 16 points last weekend with 2 goals and an assist, the Aston Villa. So, yeah, pick well and good luck with your captain choices this week. There you go, Shane. 4 captains. I'm sure there's potentially maybe one other captain pick I might have missed. I mean, I think I have missed one, and that is Bruno Fernandes. I think other people will be considering going for him. But listen, mate, thank you for joining me this week, and thank you for coming on. Been an absolute pleasure. I mean, we've chatted FPL and football and all the rest of it for nearly an hour and 40 minutes, mate. So I really appreciate your time. And I'm guessing you're all streamed out today, no? Or have you got any more coming up?
Yeah, no more today. I think I've got to do this thing called a little bit of work. I'm not used to that, but no, I think I'm streamed up for the weekend. But this is kind of where the weekend starts in terms of like content and that though as well, doesn't it? You're the same, really. You know, it starts from out, and this is the most joyous day of Friday because you've got all that faith and energy. And then by Saturday,
aren't you? You're getting ready. You're getting your team ready.
Yeah, and that's why I like going to the games. I mean, I like watching football anyway, but I like going to games because you get the build up, you got the lineups coming out, and then you watch football, and then by 3:30, it's dead. But you know, the dream's gone really at 3:30. You're like, oh, game week 12. Let's have a look at this instead. But no, it's a pleasure to come on, mate. Come on anytime, mate. It's been fantastic chatting with you and everyone in your chat, everyone that listens to you. So it's fantastic, and good luck to everyone at the weekend. And yeah, again, I'll just a little plug. If you're not listening to Double Pivot podcast, we do it every Wednesday, Thursday. Come on over and listen. It'd be good. Good to see you.
You're all over it, mate. Yeah, I mean, you know what you and Kieran do was spot I suppose I think from a Twitter point of view, something I've certainly noticed is that you guys are really engaged. I know you've done some of the FPL meetups as well, right? You did one in Edinburgh, was it?
Yeah, so I run the one in Edinburgh and FPL General. I think you probably know FPL General. I think most people probably do. Yeah, I don't think probably anyone isn't. We kind of help each other out. So I'll go to the Glasgow ones as well, and it's brilliant. It's quite it's a very Scottish affair in terms of some meets. You might get someone who's like, don't get me wrong, a very good content creator, such as yourself, Reedy. But in school, we're not really too bothered. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone just gets on, mate, which is really, really good. So if you are up that way and you listen to the pub, drop me a DM or whatever and come to the next one. It will be just before Christmas.
Absolutely amazing, Shane. Yeah. Thank you, everyone else, for obviously tuning in today. I've kind of really enjoyed this, and obviously it's a shame we've got this international break. I think we've had 4 game weeks now, and then we've got another 2-week break, which I know we were saying at the beginning, do we like international breaks? For me, 4 weeks and then a break is probably a little bit too soon. But after that, it's 8 game weeks of chaos. Christmas fixtures. We've got,
I know,
at that stage, we've got a week of 3 games, because I think it's like 13 to 15 or something. We've got, three fixtures within that week, and then there's another one a little bit later on. So, I think this break is probably coming at the right time and is needed, because it's definitely going to be jam-packed afterwards. But yeah, if you haven't already, give us a like and a share, whenever we stream. Really appreciated. And obviously subscribe, so you can hopefully get some notifications. I know a few of the guys in here, Colm and stuff, like I say. I think Colm must join every stream known to FPL.
He's a legend, mate. Colm is a legend, man.
You know what I mean? He is a legend. But we'll be back for, the review of Game Week 11 and then preview of Game Week 12. I think that will be Friday, the 22nd of November. But yeah, good luck to everyone else out there. All the best, and best of luck to you with your moves as well, Shane.
Cheers, really. Thanks very much, mate.
Take care.
Hey, mate.